Hello, and welcome to the White Flag Podcast. My name is Joe McNeil, and with me is the original Desperado, Scott Andrews.
Pew, 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 pew.
Also joining us this morning is Jay with Jay's Pack Attack. And today we are going to talk about Pokemon. Why are we going to talk about Pokemon? Well, if you know anything about Pokemon collecting or playing, or maybe have heard about any of this, right now is a crazy time in the world of Pokemon and really just in TCGs general. And you might find that store shelves have been pretty sparse. You're not able to find packs or sealed product. Even stores are running out of singles. We had somebody come in and buy our whole entire singles binder. So that was that. But why is this stuff happening? Well, that's what we're going to discuss today. But first, Jay, if you want to go ahead and maybe explain kind of what you do or kind of what you like doing and why you're here.
All right. Well, I decided at a wonderful time to try to get into Pokemon card collecting, and very quickly realized that this was going to be more of an endeavor than I thought it was going to be. You can't pretty much find it anywhere. There were weekends trying to find stock. Just something to open that I'd hit 13 stores in 6 hours, and the only thing I could find was sets nobody wanted that were already marked up.
Yeah.
And I got into card collecting a little bit and went, well, this is going to get expensive, and decided the only way I could justify my hobby is to create a YouTube channel.
There you go.
I was like, I've always wanted to learn editing and learn how to. And I figured two birds, one stone. I can try to justify making a collection, and if eventually the hobby can pay for itself, then I guess that's the dream right there.
Yeah. Now, did you grow up with Pokemon?
I did a little bit. I more grew up on Yu-Gi-Oh! Just because I don't know, it was just popular with the people that I hung out with. I did kind of see it adjacent and was like, that's cool, but I'm gonna play a trap card. And just I remember, back in the day going into card shops back when you could buy a pack at a time, and that was buying a booster box was unheard of.
Yeah.
But I also did a lot of wheeling and dealing back then because lower income family that didn't have always the option to buy packs, so I was always trying to barter and trade off stuff for just to get a little bit of mojo going for my deck.
That makes sense. So we, as a store, have had a hard time recently getting Pokemon specifically, but even Magic has seen some of this, and even Lorcana has kind of suffered from the same thing. What we're seeing is what appears to be a little bit of an underprinting with some of the cards, some of the card games, where once we could order from one distributor and get a full table of product, now we have to order from 3 different distributors just to get like half as much as that.
Yeah, so in card games, for people that don't know about how we do this, we order from a distributor. We put in a pre-order of what we want. Now there's a thing called allocation. So they look at everybody's orders, they look at how much they're going to get, and they divide up what they're going to get amongst all those orders. So for instance, Pokemon, we might order 36 booster boxes, and then our allocation might mean that we're only going to get 8 booster boxes.
Right.
That's the kind of thing that we're fighting, especially Pokemon, a little bit Lorcana, a little bit Magic. But it fluctuates through all those. Like Chapter 1 of Lorcana was heavily allocated, but now Lorcana we can get whatever we want. Pokemon used to be we could get whatever we want, and now it's heavily allocated, so it kind of moves around depending on what they're doing at the time. But right now, Pokemon especially, the allocations are very, very tight.
So this has been picked up and noticed by what, for lack of better terms, scalpers who aren't really interested so much in the game, but they want to grab these packs because they're trying to hit some high dollar cards. Some of the most recent Pokemon sets have cards that are well over $1,000 for just one card. So what they're hoping to get is a little bit like the lottery. They want to get this stuff, and then you're also seeing a high markup on them from these scalpers because of the possibility of getting it. So that's why.
Yeah, a lot of them don't even open. They buy an ETB at Target for $50,
Yeah.
and then they try to sell it online for $150,
Right.
and the product is so scarce that people are willing to pay it.
Yeah, and it's just like you're basically paying that extra for the potential to hit those cards. And the good or bad of it, I can see both ways, and I understand. I'm all for, capitalism, making money, whatever you need to do. But in the same token, from a store owner perspective, it's very frustrating because we want to try and take care of as many people as we can. Because if I sell all my product to one person, then the rest of the people that are going to be coming in are going to be leaving disappointed. You don't want customers to leave your shop disappointed. So you try and spread that out, you limit it, you can gatekeep it. Whereas at the big box stores, it's not really like that. Mm-hmm. So you mentioned going to like different big box stores and stuff like that. What have you seen as far as people buying that stuff, or like how is that working there at those places?
I mean, it's just empty. You'll only find like the pre-built decks that nobody wants because there's just you
There's
get
no
what
packs,
you get, yeah.
right, yep.
And I mean, I would, like I said, 5 or 6 hours, 2 or 3 towns. I would just do laps of places. And what's interesting is Pokemon is now sold everywhere, from dollar stores to Walgreens to gas stations to, and it was fascinating to go. When the industry went from, am I going to buy Pokemon cards today to, am I going to be able to buy Pokemon cards today?
Yeah.
That was the shift. That was like, well, this is one of the reasons why I was like, you know what, a YouTube channel makes sense because it is hotter than it's ever been, and nobody can get it, so they kind of have to go somewhere else for their fix.
Yeah.
So that's why I started doing kind of research into other ways of getting inventory and the cycles of things. And
have you met other people out there in the wild, like looking for the same stuff too?
I've seen some people occasionally come in, but the problem is you're going to have to hit so many stores that everyone's just in and out. They'll know exactly where the display is. They look in, they leave. What's wild is going into a Best Buy where there's thousands of dollars of electronics and having to be escorted to the cash register for a $25 tin.
Right.
I'm looking at drones on shelves for $400 that I can just grab, but this $25 Pokemon tin, I gotta be escorted.
That's pretty wild. It's
It's
a sign of the times.
the Pokemon drought, as I've seen a lot of people calling it, has gotten so bad. Pokemon International just released a statement that reprints are coming. To answer a lot of questions before they come to us, we have no idea when they're going to show up.
No. That's probably the number one question.
That's the only information that we also have. We just went to Gamma. We have a friend that works for Pokemon. We asked him all the same information.
Yep.
Reprints are coming. There's no expected timeline.
So I talked to one of our reps at a distribution company, and he explained it to me like this. Next year is the 30th anniversary for Pokemon. And so when they looked at the sets that came out for the 24th year, before the 25th year, they saw that there wasn't a whole lot of movement with those sets. So they thought for the 29th year that they didn't need to print as much because those were lower sold quantities for those sets. Well, I kind of get that, but in the same token, I'm like, you put out a subset that features Eevee and all the evolutions, and that's like huge for Pokemon collectors, and you didn't print like hardly any of that. So that's I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like somebody somewhere dropped the ball, but you have to understand from a production standpoint that when they send these cards to print, this is like a year plus in advance.
Yeah, they're probably printing that 30th anniversary set right now, and if they take that offline, then that set,
that'll be
it's a domino. They can't.
So they have to try and kind of pepper in the reprints with the stuff that's going on. So you might see a little bit here and there, but I will say that when reprints do come, it's not going to be very heavy. And you're going to see that pretty spread out because, as you mentioned, now you're seeing Pokemon in gas stations, Walgreens, Best Buy, all these different places.
Cracker Barrel's been my favorite so far.
Cracker Barrel. So you have them spread so thin already that when it comes to like hobby shops, we might be able to get like a couple of ETBs and a few booster bundles, and that's it. So we've also been seeing some distributors are marking up the prices well beyond MSRP even, which normally as a shop we get stuff between 40 and 50% off, so that we have the ability to take the risk of buying it so that we could sell it, make money to help run the shop. But now it's like those prices have gone up quite a bit too. So as far as like the collectability market as well, a lot of people are buying singles and stuff because they can't get their hands on sealed product. It's kind of a collector's market, if you will, because they're all buying that stuff up. But I've seen a lot of prices for singles go up quite a bit too. Even stuff that used to be $1 or $2 is going up to like $5, $6, $7 because the demand is so high. And recently, within the last few sets, maybe it was, I don't know if it was before Scarlet and Violet, maybe you can help me out with that, but the special illustrator rares is a new thing that they started with Pokemon, where these cards are like works of art. They're beautiful. They hire crazy good artists to do these cards. And that's when you're talking about these cards that are over $1,000 each, it's because they're like crazy beautiful. It's not like an overpowered card. It's just very rare to get, and it looks amazing.
Well, what's funny is, and what I can appreciate about Pokemon is they'll make 40 versions of the same card. And they will make a base version, a reverse holo, a holographic, and then a special illustration rare.
Right.
That all have the same ability. So the people that play the game can build a deck and not have to shill out hundreds of dollars because they can get the 10-cent common, and then the collectors can get the $1,000 special illustration, and then everything in between.
Yeah, Magic's gone the same way. They've got your standard basic card, your borderless, your extended art, your showcase rare, your shattered foil. And Lorcana does it on a very smaller scale. They have enchanteds. They'll have so many enchanteds in a set.
But those go from $60 to $200 for enchanted. So that's kind of the appeal to it. And if anybody grew up like opening ball cards or anything like that, they know there's always these chase cards that helps to raise the hype up to buy these card packs and these sets. So if you're not familiar with card games, this is the reason why there's such a craze, is because it's a good hit of dopamine when you hit a card that's like, oh, this is a $160 card. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you just paid $6 for a pack.
Right.
And what's rough is it's also making it is, have you heard of pokey investors? Not just scalpers. There's people that will get a hold of significant amounts of stock, and they just store it in a room, and they sit on it for 6 months.
Oh, okay.
And if you watch some of the prices, like when I first got into it, I looked at the market and I went, okay, even if I don't open it for quite a while, I need to aggressively get as much of a variety as I can, as fast as possible, and then I can open it over the next year or two. But if I wait a year to get this same stuff, I'm losing thousands of dollars. Yeah. Because like a lot of sets, like Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield, month over month is a 5% increase. Yeah. Like it's doubling the rate of the stock market at this point as far as value. So I've only opened probably 20% of my inventory. Okay. But I've also had to drop over 5 figures. Sure. And nothing's like, I'm not overly getting any one particular thing. Right. I love the ideas of like the promos and the ETB, so I've tried to get one of like 17 different ETBs. There's no reason, once you've opened it on camera, and you got the promo, there's no real value in getting more of them. I don't need more card sleeves or the throwaway dice and stuff. So I was like, all right, I got art on it, I'm gonna get the boxes. But yeah, I just very quickly realized, I was like I buy stuff that it'll take a week or two to ship. From when I buy it to when it shows up to my door, I've made a profit. Yeah. And it's just wild.
So what would you say to people that are either trying to get in on this craze from a financial standpoint? Maybe they're trying to make money. And again, all personal feelings aside, there's good and bad to both. But what would you say to people who are trying to do that? And then what would you also say to people who are actually just legitimately trying to get into the game to play it? and they can't find some of the stuff.
If you're trying to make money, honestly, like for me, my best success as for cost efficiency is sadly stock monitoring services. I actually just signed up an affiliation for one that I use. I've saved hundreds of dollars. Simply because they'll ping websites, and the moment if something comes up at MSRP or a reasonable price, you just get a notification.
I see.
I'd like Blooming Waters was a huge set, and Costco were selling 2-packs for like $100.
Yeah.
So I drop $100. When it shows up to my door,
Sure.
it's worth $280.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's how wild it is. So that was a big thing.
I remember like when the Wii first came out, and there was a bunch of websites, and you could go and see like who's showing stock
Yeah.
on the Wii
Yeah.
or Xbox 360.
And none
all
of
that
this
stuff.
is new. I mean, as far as collectability goes, this stuff has been like this forever.
Well, I mean, speaking of video game systems, like when the Wii first came out and you couldn't find it anyplace, people would go to the store and buy 5 Wiis
Yeah.
because they could turn around and sell them online for double the money.
Switch
Or even
2's
COVID
coming.
with toilet paper.
Yeah, well, Switch 2's coming, so we'll see a probably potential resurgence.
Yeah.
It's like I told Joe that I have a really bad timing. I decided to build a PC during the pandemic. So I may or may not have financed a $4,000 PC just so I could rip the graphics card out and finish my build and sold the rest of the PC off. So as far as like getting into it, a lot of card shops, a lot of used toy shops have a collection of singles or lower end stuff to where you can get. If you're looking just to play, bulk is a really good
Yeah.
way to start because you can get a lot of bang for your buck, a lot of variety to start, and then kind of figure out what direction you want to go in, and then you can specifically kind of pick and choose. Singles would probably be the way to go in
Yeah.
bulk if you're looking to actually build decks and play. But
Yeah.
as far as like finding the inventory, it's just talking. Like honestly, it's a boots on the ground kind of thing. You got to talk to people. You got to, hey, when do you guys restock? When to,
Right.
and make friends. It pays quite often to just be nice to people.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, and please be nice to people. You see videos of like people elbowing each other, grown men elbowing each other for Pokemon at Costco. Come on, guys. Like, this is not how this is supposed to
Well,
be.
it's so bad that like, I'm thankfully in the last 3-4 months I've seen a huge change. Like, GameStop, they just banned all online sales. They don't do pre-orders. They don't do.
Yeah.
You have to show up in person in store, and you're only allowed to get 2 products total.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah.
A lot more places are heavily limiting how much you're allowed to get, which is nice to see.
It should be like
You're not
that.
just sweeping
Yeah.
aisles out into
Right.
carts and running away. What's fun is I discovered that Pokemon vending machines are a thing.
Yeah. They have some at Kroger
I've only ever seen them at Kroger.
for whatever reason.
We have like 2 or 3 nearby
Yeah.
in Greenwood.
That's wild. I don't understand that.
But there's even videos
Okay.
of people like,
Yeah, I've seen
Cleaning
videos
out the whole thing, you're like-
cleaning out the whole vending.
all right, here's $500. Give me your 19 ETBs.
Right. It's just wild. But from a new player standpoint also, it does seem like some of the starter decks that don't have any packs, those aren't flying off the shelves. So if you have someone who's interested, if you're interested, or your kid is interested, you do have those different products that are readily available most of the time for that stuff. So you could do that, and then also what I would recommend for younger players is find a local gym, as they call them, and a gym is just a place where they hold Pokemon events, whether it's tournaments or casual play. Our shop, we have Tuesday night is our normal Pokemon at 7, and then Thursday we do gym leader challenges here as well. So we've got a couple nights of the week that we are sponsoring that, and I can't speak to every community out there, but I know ours.
Yeah.
If you're new and you're looking for something, like our guys will hook you up.
Yeah.
A lot of them have a lot of bulk, a lot of singles, and they can help you finish a
Yeah,
decent
and
deck
like
out.
Jay said, you might not get the Illustrator Rare $5,000 special edition card, but they'll probably have the basic card that they can give you, and you can have a playable deck.
Yeah, it does the same thing. So, what Jay has done, and we'll show some of this here, is he has taken a lot of his bulk and things, a lot of the cards he has on surplus, and he has gifted us with these kind of booster packs, if you will, for lack of a better term, where he has seeded them. Maybe I'll just let you talk about kind of your process here with these.
Yeah, I'm realizing, like I said, that, there's so many. I'll come into the same place 8 times in 2 weeks, and there's just nothing. And
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I'm gonna end up opening quite a bit, and I don't need it. I don't want it to just sit empty. So I was
Right.
like, well, let's take some of the holographics. Let's take some of the reverse holos. Not necessarily the most expensive things in the world, but you can still find joy in it, and shiny piece of paper.
Yeah.
Especially for kids that just are happy to get any Pokemon cards.
Sure.
I was like, you know what? I'm gonna donate them. And my first thought was, well, I do want to work with I haven't talked to, but work with Steve Riley's Children's Hospital is interested.
Yeah.
But I initially went, well, walking up and going, here's 5,000 cards in a box seems pretty daunting.
Yeah.
And it's not like
For one who doesn't know as much as we might know, that can be kind of.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? I can make fairly cost efficiently. I can make packs of my own, and kind of potentially spread a little bit of the channel information. Be like, hey, this is why I have these, and then just donate them to various places that either sell cards or work with kids.
Yeah.
And I've had a lot of fun to where I got like 200 or 300 kind of common packs that have either one holo or one reverse holo, and then I've got 150 that have like an EX or a V, and then I built another 60 or 70 that have 2 or 3 hits with a V, and then just for fun, just for me, I built like 15 demigod packs or god packs that have because I opened one of my favorite sets is Pokemon Go. And there's so many Charizards and Blastoises and Venusaurs and the staples of the origin of Pokemon,
Right.
and they may be worth like $1 a piece because there's so many in the set. So building a pack that has like Moltres, Zapdos, Articuno, Charizard, Venusaur, Blastoise, or like Squirtle, Wartortle, Blastoise, all holographic in one set. So I peppered in every time I give out a box, because I've worked with a few shops and places. I'll pepper in some of the good ones mixed in there, so you never know what you're gonna get or how awesome it's gonna be.
So these are available here at White Flag. If you have, we're kind of giving these out to young people, so we're saying kind of middle school or younger. If you have a child that has suffered from this drought, you might be entitled to compensation. I'm just kidding. It's one of those.
Call us.
things.
We're the hammer.
That's right. We're gonna get $1 million a year in reward winnings.
Yeah, we're gonna
whatever
sue
the billboard
Pokemon.
says. But no, all joking aside, if you have a young person that has been frustrated because you go and even at Walmart you can't find a pack of cards, come by. We'll give you a free pack. No purchase necessary. We just want to help in this time of drought. But also, this is for Jay's Pack Attack.
Yep.
So there's a card in there for his information. So you can go to his channel. Please like him, subscribe, and all that other stuff.
And if you can't rip them yourself, you can watch him rip them.
Right.
A little
You can
something.
live vicariously through others. But yeah, we really appreciate that you're doing this. I don't know if you've checked with like libraries as well, but
Yeah, I'm working. I just finished building a lot of the packs because I got the business cards in like a week or two
Oh,
ago.
yeah, okay.
So I've just finished putting together most of my first set.
Okay.
You daunted me with the task of making several more, so I had to order
I gave them a bunch of bulk. So
I had to order like 2,000 more business cards
Right.
that are on the way.
Right.
So,
But
I'll continue building
Yeah.
and just releasing them into places. I want to see like the Boys and Girls Club is
Yep.
from Morgan County is based in
that would be
Mooresville.
good.
So
check with the Mooresville Public Library. I know we have we're working in a partnership with them right now, but also the Decatur Library. I know some of the people there. My brother Jason works there, and then even Plainfield. Check those libraries. libraries, because the summers they always have programs for kids and stuff, and I think it might be nice to get that stuff out there and just to kind of spread that wealth, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really appreciate you
Yep.
joining us this morning. We
Yeah, thanks for
appreciate
coming
everything that you're doing through this. I think it's an awesome thing, and it's a good way to combat it. You know, here at White Flag, we really care about the community of things, and this is very helpful to that. So we appreciate that.
I feel like if we don't find new interest in it at some point in time, it will die out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no one's, they'll have to stop, because
Yeah.
there's the people that you can't convince your parents to buy something, or
Right.
you don't grow up and keep collecting and get
Right.
your kids into it, then at some point in time, it's going to lose it for all of us.
Absolutely. And I will say one other thing. There was something that I was going to bring up, I just remembered, was the card game Flesh and Blood. They ran into kind of a similar problem as like this is happening here, where as Flesh and Blood started really getting popular, there was one set where scalpers kind of came in and bought everything. And was holding it, and so like the aftermarket prices went up because they can control it, right? If you own all of the stuff that's there, you can price it however you feel like it. So it got raised, and then even though some people were paying that, Flesh and Blood did a huge reprint of that set, and now the market was flooded with those because the people that had hoarded them couldn't sell them for hardly anything because
Yeah.
there was a ton of it left. So I don't know that Pokemon would necessarily fall for that same kind of deal, but I will advise that if you are looking from a modest collector standpoint or from a player standpoint, just be patient. Don't overpay for stuff. Things do get reprinted,
Yeah.
and nothing's worth paying 3 or 4 times MSRP just to get your hands on stuff or the chance to possibly get that card, because let's face it,
Yeah, at that point, just buy the card that you want.
yeah, buy the card that you want, or just wait till the market stabilizes. And we've seen it rise and fall plenty of times over the 11 years we've been in business. So just be patient with it and stuff too. So that's like one last little bit of advice there. But we appreciate you watching once again. Join us next week where we open Al Capone's vault.
Yep.
It's already been opened. Geraldo did it.
Yeah.
He found there was nothing in there.
He's coming in, and he's going to open it again and show us nothing.
Show us that nothing's in there. So, yep.